So when it comes to crime, if a Muslim or anything other than Christian commits a crime, it is viewed as an act of terrorism, right? Yet they don't say Jeffrey Dahmer, the Roman Catholic or Lutheran, when there was a Russian cannibal on the loose. They made sure you knew it. With headlines, the Russian Nikolai Humgail F. called Metal Fang, who was a cannibal. They never addressed the subject of religion when it comes to a race other than Nubian. They never say Son of Sam, the Jebusite, Jack the Ripper, the Anglican, or Donald Leroy Evans, the Protestant, or Ted Bundy, the Southern Baptist, or that all Klan members subscribe to the Bible and church. Thus, Klan members are Christians, or when they have a lynching or castration of Nubians, they never say Christian Klan members. They don't even want to call them a cult. They avoid pointing out whether these Amorite serial killers were Christians or Jews. What religion was Susan Smith, the woman that drowned two helpless toddlers, you don't know because they don't and will not bring it up. Everybody else's religion gets pointed out, but for them, they never put their religion in what they do. Even General Noriega, they made sure he was arrested in a Catholic church. They don't come on the news and say a Jew beats his daughter to death, or some Catholics from Howard Beach killed some Baptists from Brooklyn and Bronx. But if a Muslim does something, right away it's Muslim does so and so. If a Rastafarian does something, immediately it's Rastafarian stuck up a bank. Banks are being robbed 24/7 a day. 24/7, 7 days a week. Women are being raped every day. People are being murdered every day. They don't ever bring up what church they belong to, what congregation, and what reverend. They don't ever say, and one of Jerry Falwell's followers in New York just chopped the little kid up. But if one of Farrakhan's followers does something, they say a black Muslim follower of Minister Louis Farrakhan just slapped the little kid in the head and throws the book at him and tries to give them life for it. This is double standards. You have every right to know their religion, because whatever religion they were revered in, that is the religion that breeds that type of mentality. My point being, if the Jewish faith or the Christian faith is what these men and women grew up in, these are the kind of people, serial killers, they keep turning out who are threats to society. This is something that they obviously want to hide and avoid talking about. When it comes to the destruction of Nubian, they put all of their attention on things such as drug scandal, sex scandal, marital affairs, who their children are, what their children do, or simply their personal affairs that they have been involved in most cases. The stories are exaggerated and made to look drastic, when in actuality they are all lies. However, when it comes to Amorites, everything is concentrated on their many. You shouldn't ask yourself, why is that? So it's always a pleasure scandal with Nubians. Let me explain what I mean by this. When trying to destroy any Nubian, they sensationalize, and there is much propaganda on subjects such as sex, as in the case of singers Luther Vandross, Teddy Pendergrass, Whitney Houston, Vanessa Williams, and Michael Jackson. When a 13-year-old boy accused him of sexually molesting him, he faced a civil suit, a criminal investigation. The matter was settled out of court and both parties agreed on the settlement. Yet they are still exaggerating the story and trying mostly to discredit him and make money off this case by selling newspapers, magazines, etc. However, when it comes to the case of Pee Wee Herman, those whose real name is Paul Rubin, a Jebusite, it was in court over and forgotten about before you know anything about it again. It's called pushing double standards. Another one of their favorite tactics is the Amorite knows that in order to keep you in submission to him, you must not realize your royal descent. That's why he keeps on inserting his image as superior, therefore you will look up to him and eventually you will worship him by trying to be, act, and look like him. That is why it's very important that you have the right images and pictures in your homes. Right? The Amorite has been obsessed with being in control and superior, and you can notice this through what is on his strongest tool, the TV. The television, meaning tell lies and you vision it, and what they call what they're showing you entertainment, entertainment, right? You don't see many Nubians walking around calling themselves Superman, Superboy, Superwoman, Bionic Woman, Bionic Man, Tarzan, $6 Million Man, Wonder Woman, Indiana Jones, Spider-Man, James Bond, or MacGyver, etc. If they do, it's done in a form of jokes to make them look like fools, as in the case of Meteor Man, Handyman, and the original Catwoman. These Amorite superheroes do things like dodge and outrun bullets or catch bullets with their teeth. They always catch the bad guys, they always deactivate the bombs in 3 seconds before it's going to blow. In other words, they do things that are almost impossible. If it's a choice to the Nubian or the Amorite getting killed, the Nubian is always the first candidate, the first choice. This is all put forth to subliminally suggest to you that you have to be an Amorite to be successful. Right? Which is why some black women in homes tell their daughters, "Oh, go get you a white man." Right? So that's a prime form of conditioning of that. You gotta be white to be alright. Right? I disagree with that. That's why it's very important. That's why it's very important you keep pictures of successful Nubian men in your homes. So a child that's growing up Nubian doesn't look around him and see a white Christmas, you feel me? Real talk, that's why it's very important you put up the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey. That's why it's important you put up these cats, man. Dr. Sebi, which I believe needs to be idolized. Absolutely. He can be a god of medicine, a god of healing. But that's why it's very important you put these people up in your household. So your child won't grow up conditioned and you're like, damn, is it really white privilege? Come on, bruh. Come on, y'all. Real talk, it's very important that you put these pictures up in your household. And if you look at the picture, if you don't understand what I'm saying, everyone can see this. With Martin Luther King, his picture is getting brighter every fucking year. Every fucking year, Martin Luther King is getting brighter, man. Man, y'all better wake up and see this shit, man.